Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a Ravens versus Raiders game recap. And, unfortunately, it's not the result we wanted. We do drop to 0-2 and a 26-23 loss to the Raiders. And, overall, just a very poorly executed game. There were a lot of mistakes on our end, both on offense and the defense. And there were a lot of unfair calls that went our way from the refs. There were calls like, that face mask call, from Namdi Madubuike. He didn't even touch the face mask. He just touched, his basically his shoulder pad, neck area. Um, you know, there was that pass interference call on Brandon Stevens. I wasn't really surprised. I do think that was a BS call. I'm not really surprised by that because it is Devontae Adams. He is one of the best wide receivers in the game. So, of course, they're going to kind of give him leeway on that call. But, there's that call. There was obviously a couple, holding calls, and missed holding calls as well. So, overall, again, a second week in a row, not the best, officiated game, for us Ravens fans, we feel like, but I just want to talk about the offense, for a minute, and the defense as well. I mean, the offense, that offensive line is really a problem. And I remember, when just a couple minutes ago, while me and you were watching the Bengals game, you asked me if I was, the GM, what would I do? And, first of all, I one of the first things I said was address the offensive line, by the trade deadline. Let's just try to get a new piece to this O line. I know it'll take a while for them to really gel, into the system and kind of be effective, but it's better than what we have right now. Daniel Falele for the past 2 weeks has been awful. He's been awful. He was no chance against Max Crosby. He was no chance against Chris Jones. You know, um,
Christian Wilkins.
and Christian, I'm sorry, Christian Wilkins. He was no chance. He's no chance against anybody that matches up with
Wait,
him.
I actually want to. Where is Chris Jones?
Chris Jones?
Yeah,
I think he was matched up on the side Falele was on the right
I
side.
know. I thought Chris Jones wasn't he like going insane?
I'm talking about from the Chiefs.
I'm dumb. Who the hell was I thinking of?
You mean I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about John Jones' brother that used to
John.
play.
Yeah,
Chandler
yeah, yeah.
Jones. Chandler
Taylor.
Jones.
Yeah. I don't know why. I'm sorry. That was my fault. I'm being an
Yeah, yeah.
idiot.
But just whoever Falele is, is trying to guard, they just it's just a revolving door. They just walk right past him. So, hopefully we can address the O line, later on in the season. But honestly, that might be too late. The trade deadline is weeks from now. We need something right now. So hopefully we should look at Ben Cleveland, trying to fill that gap. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know, because the offensive line is also affecting the ability of the run game. I mean, I was genuinely getting mad seeing Justice Hill out there when Derrick Henry should be out there more. I mean, what do we get him for? I mean, he did end up having a pretty decent game. I think he had 18 carries for like 84 yards, but a lot of he only had 5 rushing yards in the first half. A lot of those runs were just stuffed.
Yep.
And, that's not what we got him for.
Hmm.
And going on to the passing game. I mean, I really feel like that interception that Bateman dropped, and don't get me wrong, Bateman, he was pretty well covered on that play. I'll give him that, but you still got to catch that. And, he bobbled it, dropped it, and, Robert Spillane ended up intercepting it. And there was also another catch that Bateman had where it was kind of thrown behind him, but he kind of bobbled that too. And that also could have been snatched away from for a pick. So I really feel like after that interception, the whole momentum of the game just shifted. We were up, I believe we were up 23-13 at that point. Something like 23. It was either 23-13 at that point, or was it 16-6?
I think it was 16-6. They got the touchdown to make it 16-13. We
Yep.
scored, but then what honestly would change the course of the game was that face mask call.
Yeah, that was true too. That's true too. Face mask called it. Yep. But in my opinion, that interception really just the momentum just completely went all to them. And so, just the sloppiness on the offense, it's got to cool off, man. It really has. And that's for the O line play and for catching the ball as well, and passing. I'm not really going to put that on Lamar, but you know, it's really been shaky between them two. So it's really just got to tighten up, and hopefully the running game, shores up too. I do feel like towards the end of the game, Derrick Henry gotten himself in a groove, but again, to start off the game wasn't hot at all, and so what is your thoughts about the offense? What did you think?
I mean, I thought the offensive line was absolutely dreadful. I thought that, or actually, I wasn't really the offensive line. It was really just kind of Falele. He's very much of a weak point on the defense, and other teams see that. I mean, we're a very weak point on the offense. I mean, and the defenses we play against see that, and like they're moving over. Chris Jones wants to face him. Max Crosby wants to face him. Whatever, and 'cause they know that he's weak. I mean, he's weak. I mean, he just let guys go right by him on that one of those last few drives. He just let Max Crosby go right by, like he was just entering a ballpark, whatever, like without just free, just go through, I'm gonna sack my quarterback. That's just kind of what it was like. And then like what does Ben Cleveland have against John Harbaugh to where he's not playing him? Like I don't get it. Like what how worse can Ben Cleveland be? We honestly at this point, Ben Cleveland just needs to be below average to be successful. Because Falele is effing dreadful. Like it's like he needs to be called, Daniel Doofus out there because he's just absolutely, doofing it up, whatever. I'm trying to think of new words to bring up, but to keep him professional, he played a very poor game, and I can't stand when they run over to the right side because every time they do, it's always stuffed. Whether it's Henry or it could be freaking it could be a running back that's 6'9", 300 pounds, they'd still get stuffed because Falele would, just let the guy go right
Yeah,
by.
we can
You
have
know,
you can have 2007 Brendan Jacobs, and he'll still find a way to get only
Yeah,
10
so
game.
it was embarrassing. I thought Rosengarten played way better than Bakari, so I think Rosengarten should get more reps from here on out, because like I said, Makari is just not starter material, but I just think that, I'm gonna see these something below needs, man. I mean, obviously we didn't have a channel back in 2022 when we were blowing all those games. What did we lose? Like we lost like what 7 games a year, and like pretty much all of them were blown leads. So, I mean, we didn't have a channel then, but me and you talked about it all the time. Like, we're just getting tired of losing the same way, and we're doing it again. I mean, even our losses last year, the one versus the Colts, there wasn't really a blown. I mean, I guess it technically was a blown lead because we blew it in like the last few minutes. The Browns game. Um, what other games did we lose? The Steelers game. Well, both the Steelers games. Which I did technically we did blow that game. So, but
Yeah.
the Jags was 2022. But
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
talking about last year. The games
Last
we
year.
lost
Okay.
last year, they were blown leads as well, So I don't know. It's getting old, and it's like getting to the point where you need to have these uncomfortable conversations. Me and you've been having the uncomfortable conversation. It's more of, kind of a rant, I would say, but we just feel like, it's starting to get stale with the coaching here. I mean, in particular with John Harbaugh, like I mean, we don't in no way, shape, or form think he's like the worst coach or whatever, or like he's just this, awful, head coach or whatever. But like, I don't know, like those two challenges were boneheaded, losing timeouts, did the same crap last week, terrible clock management. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, really? And then Tucker, maybe he has uncomfortable conversations about him too, where it's like he's pretty much costed us 2 weeks in a row. If you really think about it. It would the majority of the game on Thursday would have been tied if Tucker made that field goal. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. 50-yard field goals aren't easy, but those would be automatic. And when you have that legacy, you have that staple of yourself, that, whatever you want to call it, about yourself, where you've been automatic in these scenarios. When they start missing them, everyone's gonna be like, maybe you're washed, But I don't think Justin Tucker's washed, but like maybe we abused his leg too much earlier in his career. But I don't know. And the defense, I mean, they're not closers anymore.
Yeah.
They're
And
not
I
closers.
just I just want to chime in and say, about Justin Tucker. He's the only field goal kicker this year to miss 50-yard field goals. There was a graphic on Twitter that I saw. Every kicker this year is 26 of 27 from 50 yards, and Justin Tucker is 0 for 2.
Yeah, so I mean, it's becoming more and more of, their kickers making these long field goals, and he kind of set the stable for that, and I don't know, maybe we gotta start looking into that in the future, next few years, but I don't know, like I was very frustrated letting Mike McDonald leave, in the first place, but like it's stuff like this that makes me even more frustrated, not having a young voice in the locker room, but I don't know. It's just but like I was saying with the defense, they're not closers. I mean they have been closers, and I don't know, man. It's just this stuff's become old news, and it's became old news 2 years ago, but it's getting annoying as the
Yeah,
weeks go on.
yeah, and to add on to what you're saying about, Harbaugh, and then I'll get into my take on the defense too. I genuinely don't feel like Harbaugh is appropriate for this era of NFL football anymore. And I've said this to you a lot. We hired Harbaugh back in 2008, to start the 2008 season. That's long, long ago. I was 5 years old when Harbaugh was hired here, and now I'm 21. And we've gone through about two to three, I would say even four different eras of the NFL since then. And Harbaugh is just outdated. The means that he had to win, for us in the Super Bowl in 2012, that was okay for that time. There wasn't high flying offenses. The only offenses like that were the Patriots, really. Everybody else, their high flying offense was through their running game. But now the league is different. We have dudes like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Lamar can be like that too. But Harbaugh just won't take him there because his coaching is just outdated for this time,
Yeah.
you know. And that's why, me too. I wish that we kept Mike McDonald. I know he's more of a defensive minded coach, but we need that young guy that's also going to be able to embrace the offensive side. Harbaugh came in and inherited that defensive mindset, that mindset where we don't add to the offense, we just add to the defense. We need somebody that's going to adapt to the new era of the NFL.
Right.
And
And then
it's
when you and
gonna,
when you're given the weapons on offense, you fumble the situation. I mean, like that
oh,
whole debacle in the championship game last year. I mean, it's frustrating watching this season already just because like people are starting to see firsthand, like maybe last year was the shot. Now it's 2 weeks into the year. We don't want to overreact, but wouldn't be surprised if we're having the same conversations in December if we're 7-5 or something, or maybe we're not even over 5. Maybe we're 5-7 or something like that. Not saying that we're absolutely dreadful. We have plays to make game to win games. We could have had plays to win games this year. We haven't taken those plays, but it's if I wouldn't be surprised if it's a growing theme as the year goes on. Like last year should have been the year, and I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna be, I guess, controversial here. I mean that whole postseason run last year with the way it ended, that tarnishes Harbaugh's legacy to me. Like you can't sit here and tell me that doesn't. Like having that team and having that result, that tarnishes Harbaugh's legacy to me as a Baltimore Ravens coach, because to me it'll always be, to me, like if he retires the next few years and he only wins the one ring, to me it's always going to be, yeah, you won that ring 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever it's going to be at the time when he leaves, but you had a chance to get two. In fact, you had a chance to get two twice since then. So, maybe even three times if you count 2014. So I mean, just it really bothers me. It really does, because that is one of the best Ravens teams I've ever watched. And to see the product on the field this year, it's not awful. It's not like so many levels down from the team last year. They're still at a high capacity. They have flaws, and that's just the biggest thing. We got to fix as the season goes along. But last year it felt perfect. And I don't want to keep referencing that every week. Like it's just I can't see us hosting the AFC Championship game again. I could see us going to Arrowhead in the AFC Championship if we were to make it that far, or Buffalo, or Cincinnati, even. Like it's just frustrating.
yeah, and you kind of, kind of hit on what I was going to say too. I just feel like, we should have a head coach that will tap into the potential offensive capabilities for Lamar. And, we kind of did that last year, by getting OBJ, a new weapon for him and, kind of expanding the roles more of, Isaiah Likely, and guys like Zay Flowers as well. But we need to see more of that. And I hope in the future we get that with a new, whoever our new head coach will be, to be more willing to do that. And
Mhm.
then I'll just touch on the defense here and then we can look at the stats. I agree the defense didn't look good at all. They
Well,
still
no,
look
not at the end of the game. They looked great the
yeah,
first
not at
half.
the end of the game. Not at the end of the game. But in the first half they did a great job. We got a lot of sacks. Owe was eating them alive.
Yeah.
Nnamdi Madubuike was doing his thing too. Even Pierce was having a great game.
I want to say though, what irritated me is like there were things that weren't working in the second half of the defense, like Stevens on Adams, Brock Bowers, I mean Simpson on Brock Bowers, and it's like these weren't working, and you're doing it again and again. I see him lined up against Devontae Adams again and again and again. Like I guess maybe Marlowe's, we probably wouldn't have did that much better, but because I think Marlowe had an absolutely dreadful game. He was terrible today. He was absolutely terrible. But he caught the pick, but that was thrown right to him. He didn't make some acrobatic play to freaking catch that ball. It was thrown right to him. But the times he was letting a lot. He was like playing a lot of soft coverage. It seemed like he was letting the guys get yards. So I think that Marlon Humphrey played an absolutely dreadful game today.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely wasn't his best. And especially in coverage. I mean, he was letting guys get, these simple hesitation or two-step moves off of him. And it's just kind of sad to see. I mean, in 2019, he was regarded as one of the top 5 corners in the league. And he slowly went down that top 10 list. And games like this certainly don't help. And, even with Stevens. I think, when coach it's kind of like that one, Twitter video I see, with the Shaq the barbecue chicken alert, whenever he's matched up against a tight end or wide receiver one on the opposing team, they just eat. They just eat off of him. He gave way too much space to Devontae Adams today. And it was just unacceptable. So that's definitely something we need to get better at moving forward.
And that's honestly another reason I wouldn't have let Mike McDonald go because we still have talented pieces on the defense. Why would you want to rebuild that? Like why would you want to rebuild that? All you had to do is replace Patrick Queen and Geno Stone in that defense, and I guess Jadeveon Clowney, which the defensive line looks pretty good. So it's just like that's another reason why you don't want to let Mike Mack go is because now there might be new schemes. Now maybe Zach Wilson should do something different or whatever. Like maybe he doesn't call the right plays, in the right moments. Maybe he's just not that type of guy like Mike McDonald was. And it's like, how do you just let that walk out of the building?
Right. Yeah, I agree. And another thing about Mike Mack's defense, they always adapted. You know, um, if we weren't playing good in the first half, you could bet on your life that in the second half there will be adjustments and the defense will look much better. Or even by the second half, even by the second drive, the defense will look much better. But with Zach Orr, it seems like the whole game is just sort of the same thing. So, I hope it's just these first 2 games and the rest of the 15 games we're able to get it going. Hopefully it's like how it was in 2019. We kind of started off a little and then we heated up towards the end, but it's not looking like it. But we'll see. The Ravens have surprised us in the past. I'm gonna be honest, going into, last year, I didn't expect us to go to the AFC Championship. Well, I did expect us to go to the AFC Championship, but I didn't expect it to be such a amazing season like how it was. And even going into 2019, a lot of Ravens fans didn't expect that either. So, hopefully we can turn the tables around and, produce a different type of result on the field. We have a good chance to do that against the Cowboys next week. We've had some success, especially running the football against them. So hopefully we can just stick to that game plan next week of running the football. Honestly, that should be the number one priority. Run the football and then pass. Just stick to that, Ravens, and we should win. I don't
Yeah.
know about Marlowe or Brandon Stevens on CD Lamb, but yeah. But
Maybe
we
Nate
could get
Wiggins will
if
be on
you
him.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, or Wiggins too. But we can get into the stats now if you want, or if you have anything else to say.
Nah, let's get into the stats.
Let's get it. All right, so I can read the offensive stats. I get my old whippersnapper glasses on. All right, so Lamar, 21 of 34 passing, 247 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Obviously that interception was the one that, Bateman bobbled and was picked up by Robert Spillane. But that was a nice touchdown pass to Zay Flowers. I hope we get to see more of that in the future. Derrick Henry had 18 carries, 84 yards, one touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 5 carries for 45 yards. Justice Hill had 4 carries for 22 yards. Going to the receiving, Zay Flowers had a great game. 7 receptions, 91 yards, one touchdown. Mark Andrews kind of got going as well. Although
Sorry.
Lamar
Sorry.
Lamar missed him. He was wide open. Lamar missed him on I think
Yeah.
it was about second down or third down.
Yep.
He missed him. He was wide open. Mark Andrews had 4 receptions for 51 yards. Rashad Bateman had 3 receptions for 40 yards. Isaiah Likely, he really cooled down today. Had 2 receptions for 26 yards. Nelson Aguilar had 1 reception for 13 yards. Derrick Henry had 1 reception for 12 yards, and Justice Hill had 2 receptions for 10 yards. So Zay Flowers really ate this game.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's move on to the defense. Roquan Smith had 11 total tackles for the Marcelo. He had a pass deflection. Marlon, well, as I say, he has his worst game of the season. 10 total tackles, 8 of them were solo, one tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. Maybe I did overrate, how bad he played. I just think that he didn't have his great coverage game. He also had a pick as well. Cal Hamilton had 6 total tackles, 5 of them were solo. Away had 5 total tackles, 4 of them were solo, and 2.5 sacks and 2 tackles for losses and 3 QB hits. So a hell of a day for Odafe Owe. And that rhymed. Trent Simpson had 5 total tackles, 3 of them were solo. Kyle Van Noy had 3 total tackles, 3 of them were solo, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. Marcus Williams had 3 total tackles, 3 of them were solo. Nnamdi Madubuike had 3 total tackles, 3 of them were solo. He had 2 tackle for losses. I thought he had a sack. Well, yeah, he should have had that sack, but they freaking negated it. But he has 1 QB hit. Brent Urban, Brandon Stevens, Travis Jones, all have 3 total tackles. 2 of them are solo. Brandon Stevens has a pass deflection, and Travis Jones has a tackle for loss. And then everything else is probably like just special teams or whatever. So, like I said, Marlon had an interception. Uh, let's see here. Like Tucker went 3 for 4 with kicking, and didn't miss an extra point. But I mean, Jordan Stout had that absolutely dreadful, and I mean that in a lightly dreadful kick. In the second, it's like one of the last drives of the game. So it was a terrible kick that really gave the Raiders good field position. That kind of set our defense up for failure, in my opinion. But just a lot went wrong this game. So probably just stop sharing. You want me to stop sharing? Is there anything else you want to bring up? Team stats.
Actually,
So,
that's interesting to look at too.
what are their time of possession? So they had time of possession for 30 minutes. Only had 27 rushing yards.
Look at the penalties. We had 11 penalties for 109 yards. They only
Yep.
had 3.
Yep. And it's another game of us outgaining somebody and still losing. Like, I mean, when you look at these stats, everything that you look at on there, you think, oh, the Ravens won. Even if it was by a few scores, like just one score, they still won. Everything you look at all that, it had to have won. You got guys with 2 sacks, guys with 1 sack. These guys had an interception. We ran for 120 some yards. We threw for a touchdown. We ran for a few touchdowns. It's like, so all right, we won, right? We had 3 field goals, right? We won by a score at least. No, we lost by 3. And this is what I'm talking about. It's the same cycle every time. You look at the game like, how did we lose this game? It was always one moment in the game that changed it. It's the same shit every time, and it gets on my nerves. It really does. It's been the same thing, and now Harbaugh has became like one of the most like the worst coaches when it comes to blowing double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. Like we gotta stop doing this. This was a conversation in 2022. Why is it still a conversation 2 years later? Like it's just so annoying. Like it's really tiring, honestly. To be honest, like if I had to be honest with you, it's really tiring because how many more games are we gonna lose like this? I mean, this looks exactly like 2022. These 2 games, it's looked exactly like 2022. How am I supposed to believe that we're supposed to have get back and win the Super Bowl this year? Beat the Chiefs in the championship game, whatever. If they look like that the first 2 weeks of the season, it is the first 2 weeks, so I don't want to overreact, but it's hard. It's frustrating. So all those things, like I said, you look at all those stats. How do we win? How do we not win? I should say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And we never learn. We never learn
Nope.
from our mistakes. Even the Chiefs game, last week I saw a lot of things that look similar to what we did in AFC Championship. And we've been watching the AFC Championship. We've been breaking it down, together. So
Our last shot, our
it's
only shot with Lamar.
it's embarrassing. I mean, we really don't learn, and that's why I'm saying every loss is kind of the same under Harbaugh, and unless we change ways with him, it'll always continue to be the same. And me and we're and us here at Birds of Prey Sports, we're not downplaying what Harbaugh has done. He took Joe Flacco, a rookie, from just a,
Well, the
a,
defense
a
too.
well, yeah, the def well, give credit to the defense too, but he came in 2008 as a special teams coach and took a rookie and Joe Flacco and turned him into a solid NFL QB and won a Super Bowl with him. If you were to 9 times out of 10, the type of Joe Flacco players we have in this league, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with them. And Harbs did. But like I said, it's a new era right now, and we need a younger, more adaptable coach, not one that's gonna, be stubborn and go to his own and stay in his own ways.
Yeah, and even
So
his analytics are just like explained earlier, just not smart.
yeah, yeah, they're not smart at all. So,
So I don't know, man.
we just got to get a win next week against Dallas.
You know,
Um,
we'll do the pregame for that.
yeah,
I'll
we'll
have
do
that
the
out.
but that's all we got to be focused on. We can't dwell
Mhm.
on this loss no more. So,
Yep, I
um,
agree.
I think that's all we got for you guys today. A tough loss, but we gotta hold our heads up high and just get ready for the next 15.
Yep.
So make sure to check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. I'm not gonna lie, I one day I really want to see the new Alien Romulus movie. So we need to we're gonna negotiate, behind scenes and link up and see that movie. But make sure you subscribe to that channel. We got the Deadpool and Wolverine, movie review on there. We had a lot of fun making that. Also make sure you check out our social medias, our Instagram and our TikTok, especially Instagram. Jared's been cooking up some fire Ravens and Orioles graphics, so make sure you show some love to those. Um, and yeah, just show love to us, man. Comment your thoughts below on the Ravens game today. Do you like Harbaugh? Do you think he should go? Let us know in the comments. So, that's all we got for you guys today in today's video. And we're Bird Spray Sports. We're out.
I'm out.